good morning, and happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back to the Spin Zone. I am your host, Spin Doc. Hope everybody had a wonderful, wonderful Friday. And before we get into baseball, I certainly did because, as y'all know, I'm from Minnesota. So Timberwolves took a 2-1 lead. A lot of fun watching that last night. Almost went to the game, but was a whole bunch of fun. And we about to take 3-1 tomorrow. So sorry to any Lakers fans that happen to be watching, but no, it's actually pretty crazy sports time here because we got the Wild up in the playoffs right now. That game's today. We got the Wolves tomorrow. So Minneapolis St. Paul is actually pretty buzzing right now. There's a lot going on, but this is a baseball show, so we will talk about baseball, and I do have three pitchers to get to today. But before we do that, we always talk about what did we learn yesterday, or what happened yesterday that can give us some leans, whatever, or into the future to apply to future plays. So a couple things. Number one, going back to Logan Gilbert, it's the same thing with Cole Reagans. It's bad luck. It sucks, but it's the old adage that when we talk about taking a pitcher that's at a line that's that high, that's what has to happen. So many things have to go right, and very, very few things can go wrong. And unfortunately, the worst of the worst went wrong last night. Gilbert had 3 strikeouts in his first 22 pitches and was on pace to put up like damn near a 10 piece, and left with forearm tightness very, very shortly thereafter that. I think he only threw about 8 or 9 more pitches. His velo after that third strikeout was down considerably. It was down by about 3 or 4 miles an hour on his fastball. He just didn't look right. Looked like he was laboring, and then just walked off the mound, and that was it. A team is not, and I can just tell you for a fact, a team is not going to risk any type of injury like that to a guy that's that valuable to them, that's pitching that well this early in the season. Is just not going to happen. Anything that possibly might, like, even if the wind blows the wrong way, you could be looking at a guy getting taken out and having a short start. And unfortunately for anybody that took the over for Logan Gilbert, that is what happened. I've heard of books canceling and pushing bets with injury, but usually not after 3 innings. Usually, like if he gets hurt in the first inning, or if he throws a couple pitches and then comes up lame or something like that. Stuff like that. Sometimes you can get them to push a bet, but not after the 3rd inning. And also for anybody, just as a quick aside, because I did see this on X a few times about, like, if books had integrity, or if such and such book had integrity, they would push all Logan Gilbert bets. Let me ask the question to you. If you were on the under and that happened and they pushed the bet, what would you think? It cuts both ways, right? So I've been the recipient of that. I've been the beneficiary of that, and I've been the recipient of the other side. And unfortunately, yesterday was the other side. And those are the things where those things are just luck. Those things are bad luck. And, would Logan Gilbert have reached 8, 9, whatever strikeouts? Who knows? We'll never know. I'm guessing that his forearm started to tighten up probably before he got yanked, but it is what it is. And, if your book is super generous, maybe they would give you a free play or something like that. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to ask, but I'm always of the belief that if it worked out the other way, and they said, well, we're going to cancel your bet, but we'll give you, half of it back in free play, or we're not going to cancel your bet, but we're not going to pay it, but we're going to give you half of it back in free play. You'd be pissed. Because you'd be like, no, I said under, he went under, I win. Cuts both ways. So anyways, that's on with Logan Gilbert. With Paul Skeens with the Pirates, we learned, I talked about it with Sharpie yesterday, is that these Dodgers struggle big time, like huge big time with zone contact. They struggle a whole lot with zone contact, and so it's something that you can definitely use going forward. You can definitely use it to your advantage, because if you have a pitcher that, one, can throw heat, and two, can initiate whiffs in the zone, it's something that you can definitely use to your advantage. So Skeens had just a wonderful game yesterday. And, I talked about the catcher situation. Henry Davis caught him, and he ended up torching the Dodgers. So, catchers do matter. And I talked about how Davis only had a 21.7% K percentage. Sharpie brought up a good counterpoint that perhaps it was just the opponent. So we'll see. We'll see who becomes Skeens' regular catcher, because I still am a big believer that that in the grand scheme of things, that catchers do matter. But yesterday, Skeens pitched a gem. And then elsewhere in baseball, wasn't a whole lot of other things to take away here. There were a few other ones. I know that Andrew Abbott was a popular play. We talked about him on the Balking. Me and Sharpie talked about him on the Balking Dead, and the over is always the right side if you're going to take a play against the Rockies. And we're going to talk about the pitcher that's going against the Rockies again today, because again, it's always the right side. The Rockies are a team that just has such poor and undisciplined swing metrics that you just can't do anything else but take the over or leave it alone. But Andrew Abbott, for as good as he looked in at least one of his first two starts, he just didn't look right last night. I actually watched his entire start. Just was missing the zone all over the place, and then seemed to get frustrated, and then seemed to just kind of implode, to be quite honest with you. And so, other than that, I think that probably will do it for what we learned last night. The only other one that I wanted to mention was Seth Lugo. And this is something to pay attention to. And admittedly, I made a mistake by dumping it at the last minute. I had Seth Lugo as a finalist for VIP for the over. And because of the fact that his outs were at the highest that it was all year, at an absolutely absurd 19.5. After the lineup came out, it got dropped to 18.5, and even in 17.5, juice to the over in some cases. And then his Ks, the juice on the over, the juice shifted to just a level that I didn't like. And so what that left us with was a situation where I had to dump it at the last minute, and I wish I hadn't, obviously, because he absolutely torched the Astros for pitched 8 innings, and just ridiculous start for Seth Lugo. So those are things to pay attention to. When a line all of a sudden gets shot up, or all of a sudden gets dropped, just all of a sudden just bounces without any specific rhyme or reason to it, always something to pay attention to. So that, I think, will do it for the business of yesterday. Let's move on to today. The swing metrics chart is giving me a little bit of a headache here, so I'm not going to post it for the time being. I'm going to the numbers didn't post right, so I think I got it fixed, but it's not really in a readable format. So I think we're just going to go. We'll talk about these guys, and I'll tell you what I see. So the first one, I talked to you. It's Hunter Green. striking out guys at a 29.7% clip, gets the Rockies today at 3:10 p.m. And this one is peculiar. I will tell you why in just a moment, because we have a 7.5, an over 7.5 at plus 120, which is what I call a pick me line. And what I mean by a pick me line is, the people that on social media, whatever, that are trying way too hard to get attention, like, ooh, 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 pick me. Hunter Green against the Rockies at a big plus money 7.5 is a pick me line. And pick me lines scare me because it seemed, because then you got the under at under 7.5 at minus 154. Ain't nobody betting the under. Okay. Ain't nobody nobody should be betting the under on this. So with the Rockies, it's always over or nothing. You have a Rockies team that's one of the highest strikeout percentages in all of Major League Baseball. They have one of the worst overall swing metrics in all of Major League Baseball. They have all kinds of guys making all kinds of, well, I guess not making contact, all kinds of whiffs. But here's why I think the Hunter Green can be a pick-me line is Hunter Green has 7+ strikeouts in 4 of his 5 starts this year. He's averaging 7. He's hit 8+ in 3 of those 5, 7 and 1. And that one where he hit 7 was on a back-to-back, or almost a back-to-back. There was one start in between. Very, very close proximity rematch against the Giants, where he went from home, where he got 8, to the road, where he got 7 and got the over in both starts. So the only start that he really failed to do anything from a strikeout perspective was his last start against the Orioles, and that was on the road. Now, Orioles and the Orioles and the Rockies are obviously two very different animals when it comes to swinging and hitting and whatever. So a couple of things I noticed about that start, though, for Hunter Green is that his velo was down. His velo on his four-seam fastball. Now, Hunter Green does throw a pretty blazing fastball. He can run it up close to 100. He averages 99 miles an hour. So when I say it's down, I take that with, for what it's worth, because it was down by about a half a mile an hour. His slider velo was down, but the spin on his four-seamer and his splitter were both down by a reasonable amount. So I don't usually count velo. I don't take velo being down or spin being down in one start too seriously. A guy, it could be the weather. It could be a guy just woke up wrong. Maybe he just wasn't feeling it that day. I mean, maybe it was the way that he had to pitch the game. There's a whole host of different reasons why. Now, when you start talking about velo being down over a mile an hour, that's when I start getting concerned and wondering, like, why is that happening? Because even pitchers that aren't feeling it that day can usually still run their average velo close to within about a half a mile an hour. So the velo isn't a huge concern, something to pay attention to. But the reason why I think this is a pick-me line is that whenever you get the Rockies, there's always a Rockies tax. Just like usually when you get the Mariners, there's a Mariners tax. Just like usually when you get some of the lower strikeout teams like the Cardinals, sometimes you get a tax on that to the other way, to the under. And usually you get a strikeout added. But so the strikeout is added because I think you almost have to, because taking 6.5 would put them very, very under or very overweight on the over with action. But this is a peculiar line because they're giving you every chance in the world and every chance on the earth to get plus money and to get nice plus money on a number that he's hit 3 of his 5 starts. So trend bettors, that's what they look for. You also have his outs, which he didn't go very long against Baltimore. He kind of got tossed around a little bit. But prior to that, 21, 26, and 21 outs. I mean, and his outs are still stuck on 17.5. His earned runs, which had been at 1.5 pretty much throughout his all throughout his first 4 starts. It was at 2.5 against Baltimore, got tossed around and got hit up for 5. It's at a 2.5 again at a very, very bettable price on the under. Now, part of that can be the atmosphere because balls fly farther in Coors. There's more there's thinner air, so the ball flies further, blah, 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 blah. And so he has two previous starts in Colorado, 8-6. So right around that 7 average. The way that the Rockies are swinging the bat right now, because Hunter Green overall for the year is only allowing 75% contact in the zone. And these Rockies have just been horrendous all year, to the tune of, over the last 2 weeks, they're at 81.4%. That's the second worst mark in Major League Baseball. So Green does operate in the zone almost exclusively, 58.4% of the time. And when I look at the projected lineup right now, which is projected to be 5 lefties and 4 righties, is that who I don't see Kyle Farmer, who's one of their most high contact hitters. I also see that with the 5 lefties, he strikes out lefties at 31.7% compared to 27.3% against righties. And you're still going to give us plus money? Danger, danger, danger. I'm not saying he doesn't hit it. And I'm not saying that the over 7.5 is a bad play, because it's not. If you're going to play this, you have to play the over. There's no other choice. And with a guy like Hunter Green, it is that if you're going to play it, just play it. Don't take it down and pay juice and try to get cute. Either play it or don't. So my advice on Hunter Green is that if you believe that the past history, if you believe that just his overall low contact allowed metrics, and the Rockies' abysmal swing metrics that we've talked about over and over and over again on this show, and I'm sure you've heard on others if you follow other people that do strikeout props, is that over is the only way to play it. Now, for me personally, I am off Hunter Green entirely. I'm going to take a free lesson, and I'm going to see if I can figure out what they see. I want to see what the line movement is too once the actual lineup is released, because right now with a lot of these guys in the lineup, especially when you're talking about like Amador and Shunk will be in, I'm sure, but Toglia, I mean, all of these guys just light up in red when it comes to swing and strikeout metrics. And some of these guys have like 35 to 40% strikeout rates against right-handed pitchers. And obviously Hunter Green is one of the best. So this to me is what I call a pick me line. And when I see a pick me line, if I can't figure out why it is such, I usually will just dump it and throw it and take the free lesson, even though it is at plus money. So, I've kind of heard the logic before about like, well, it's plus money, I have to. No, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to put your money out there. What you can't do is put money on the under, because there's no value in doing that for a team like the Rockies. But just because it's plus money and just because it's Hunter Green, if it doesn't look right, I got to pass on it. That's exactly what I'm doing. So Hunter Green for me is a pass, but I'm just trying to give you some insight on him. If you do want to play him, I would just play the over. I would just play the 7.5. And like I said, he might hit it. And if you do take it, I wish you all the best of luck. Like, don't want anybody to think that I'm like gonna like be sneaky and bet the under and be like, oh, look at that, I outsmarted the books. I'm not even going to try today. When they have pick me lines, there's always a reason for it, and usually it's because something's not right. I'm not interested, so I'm going to pass. Before we go to the next one, I'm just going to go through the chat here. Saw people pop in. Ted Montana, good morning, my brother. Thank you for joining as well. Trying to rob FanDuel, good morning to you, and thank you for joining as always. Roger says I was one of those guys that saw Green. Yeah. It's the flashy pick. I promise you. I already told VIP, I said Hunter Green will be the most public play of the day by far. When you give him just plus a half or plus one over average against the Rockies, against a team he's already pitched in Colorado and averages 7 strikeouts, and you give the plus money, it's going to be a pick me line. What I always do though, and part of this is just because I do believe, and also I've talked to people that like work for books, and I know that they do this, is that they set traps. Like there are trap lines. Like, it's called a trap line for a reason. And Not every line is a trap line. It's not like the books like take every single line, every single prop, and everything, and they're like, ooh, how do we screw the public out of this? They don't have the resources for that. Some of them just let the computers and the algorithms do the work. Some that are going to be more public plays, if there is a potential to set a trap, it's possible to do it. So I'm not saying that Hunter Green's a trap. I'm not saying that I got it all figured out with him. I'm just saying is that I can't figure out why 7.5 is plus money. And also it's not even money. It's like plus 120, like plus 118. Those are ones that only need to hit at like 47% of the time to be profitable. So you're going to give me a play that he's hit pretty much every start except one. And you're going to tell me against the worst strikeout team in baseball that I need to play it that only hits at 47 and a half, whatever percent. Alarm bells go off in my head because above all, the one thing that you shouldn't do in this game, whether it's strikeout props or any other kind of bet, is look at that and say, well, the book's screwed up. The book's fucked up. They're wrong. They don't make mistakes, and if they do, they make minor mistakes or they correct it immediately. So that's why I'm waiting for the lineup to come out to see if there's any correction, any kind of course correction adjustment to be like, maybe they thought somebody would be in the lineup who's not, whatever. The projected lineup doesn't have Farmer. Who knows? What I'm saying is that alarm bells go off in my head because they're billionaires and they have millions and millions of dollars of algorithms and software, and none of us do. So I read into that as there's something amiss here. And so I'm not going to go the other side. I'm certainly not going to play a juiced under on the Rockies against Hunter Green. Like that's just out of the question. I might just end up just taking a free lesson today, and maybe he goes out and murks him for 9. Maybe he does, and I'm the kind of player. I'm the kind of capper where I don't feel bad about that. I never feel like bad about missing stuff, about missing ones that hit. I like to do what we do at the start of the show and go back and review what happened, like what went wrong, what went right, what can I take for next time. So. Go get him. Welcome in, my guy. Says Green's first 2 starts in Colorado. Yep, 10 earned runs, 5 walks. His outs are juiced to 17.5. It is. It's a weird one. It's an odd line, and that's the reason why I wanted to kick it off with Hunter Green, because when the line doesn't make sense and I can't figure out why, and this one, I'm struggling to come up with any like real discernible reason as far as why. I mean, I have some thoughts, but nothing that I can really point to where all the strong evidence points to one way or the other. I'll just throw it on the dock. I'll just pass and I'll take a free lesson and I won't feel too bad about it. So if you're playing it, over is the only way to go. All right. Next up is Mr. Jesus Luzardo, striking guys out at a 30% clip. He gets the Cubs. This one, first pitch, 4:05 p.m. At Wrigley Field. And you have a line, Luzardo's laying pretty much even, pretty much the juice that I expected for this one. You got slightly juiced to the under, -106 and -120. So Luzardo, obviously, since joining the Phillies, he had a dynamite spring. He was a real high strikeout machine in his first 2 with 11 and 8. Had 2 games against on the road, one at home against the Giants, 6 and 4. Really, the teams that have seen him very well this year and guys that he's struggled to get are twofold. Number one, it's guys who don't chase. Guys who don't chase tend to do well against Luzardo, even though his zone rate is up to 50% this year, which is the highest mark in his career by a pretty comfortable margin. He is generating a 31.8% chase rate, and so his 4-seam and then when you chase, he's only allowing 44.6% chase contact, which is one of the better marks among all starters. The second thing is that if you can hit heat, so if you can make contact against heat, you have a good chance of so if you don't chase and you make contact against heat, because he does throw a 4-seamer and again, in the zone 50%, 36.1% of the time, averages 96. That is still up from last year. Spin on it's up slightly, but it's not really his put away pitch. He only puts guys away with it 15.8% of the time, but you do get a steady diet of fastballs early. You especially get it when Marchand is catching him. That was what happened in his last start against Miami. When Marchand was catching him, he went a lot of fastballs early and then broke out the breaking stuff later in the start. Now, Real Muto is expected to, or projected to be his catcher today. Real Muto is a little bit different, is that he does have guys throw more chase stuff early. And so he gets if he gets Real Muto, I would expect a little bit more chase stuff early. So the one thing about the Cubs this year, and especially over the last 2 weeks, is that they do not chase. They don't chase. Only a 28% swing rate outside the zone. That is below MLB average and a top 5 mark among all teams in that time frame. Now, when they do chase, they make decent chase contact. They're about average, but the one thing they do big time is they make contact in the zone and they hit heat. They make contact in the zone and they hit four-seam fastballs. You go and you look at what their overall whiff rate to a four-seam fastball is this year. And this is all four-seam fastballs. Unfortunately, the tools that are available to us don't really, I mean, you can dig and find it, but don't on the surface tell you like what the average velo is for whiff rate. But you look at some of these guys that are projected to be in the lineup, and you have Justin Turner at 15.9%, Kyle Tucker at 14.5%, Happ at 18.9. You got a couple other guys that are in the low 20s, and really only, I think the only one that I would maybe expect to be in the lineup that would be over 30% is Dansby Swanson. So you got a lot of guys that don't whiff to four-seam fastballs. And a lot of guys that see pitches quite well and don't chase. So I look at the projected lineup, and I do see that I think 6 of 9 chase under league average in this projected lineup right now. I also see that when I look at Luzardo, I also look at his walks, because walks were always a concern of his when he pitched in Miami. And he's done a better job this year, averaging 1.4 walks per start. He didn't walk anybody against Miami. That was partially because Marchand was catching him and was going more in the zone, more four-seam fastball. Again, Real Muto catches guys a little bit different, and in the starts that Real Muto has caught him, he has averaged about 2 walks a game. So if you want to be on the under, which to be totally candid with you, I kind of do. I have a heavy lean towards the under here. I want to see Real Muto as his catcher. Because Real Muto is the kind of guy that is going to call some of those breaking pitches early, which then with the patience that this projected Cubs lineup shows can get you in some pitchers counts, and which would obviously negate walks or have him possibly pitching to contact. Not that it would be bad, like terrible if Marchand caught him and he went more fastball early, because again, the Cubs do have a low whiff rate to fastballs and actually can hit heat, but they also have a very high swing rate in the zone. So what I want a pairing. Right. I want either a bunch of guys who don't chase and Real Muto as the catcher, or I want a bunch of guys that swing heavy in the zone and make contact with Marchand as the catcher, because they do catch guys differently. So, but this is a very, very strong lean on the under here for Luzardo. The Cubs are one of the highest contact teams in Major League Baseball. Over the last 2 weeks, they are the second highest contact team overall, just behind the Houston Astros. And Roger has a really good question. The metrics you reference, like swing or contact rates, is that is that from your own software or is it from a certain site? Great question. So it's a combination of both. I do have a model that I built in Excel where I can just plug it in and it'll do some of the calculations for me. But if you want the raw numbers, there are a couple places to go to get it. The first place you can go to get the swing metrics that I like contact rates and stuff, like outside the zone swing, is you can go to Fangraphs. Fangraphs is a great free site. And specifically, you want to go, and I think it comes up in a Google search where you can do Fangraphs plate discipline. And actually, I think I can probably put it up in the chat here. And you can normally when you bring it up on like a Google search, it'll default to like one of the past seasons. Let's see if I can put it in the chat here. I think I can. Yeah, that's a really goofy link, but if that's a really goofy link if you're in the chat. I'm not sure that one would work. But basically, if you just go to, if you just do a Google search for Fangraphs plate discipline, and then make sure you switch the season to 2025 because it doesn't default to 2025, but you can do custom date range searches. The one thing I will tell you about Fangraphs is that it's very ad laden. So make sure you don't have a whole lot of other stuff up while you're doing it, because the ads and the spam, it really, really slows down your computer. It's not like virus or anything. It's just tons of pop-ups, tons of ads. There is an ad-free version, but I found that just spam clicking through it is much better than paying for it. But Fangraphs is one. If you're talking about the whiff rates to like players and whatever, for pitches and whatever, the place to do that, which this is another free site. I'll put this in the, you can just do a Google search. Something along those lines, StatCast Arsenal, Pitch Arsenal. It's StatCast Pitch Arsenal stats, and that's a free site as well. And that's powered by MLB Savant, which to me is the gold standard in getting metrics. What you can do is you can do a search by all hitters or by team, by year, and by pitch. So like I have the Cubs one up right now, and it tells me the whiff rate, it tells me the K rate, it tells me how many pitches of those they've seen. If you really want to get detailed, you can actually click on the guy and you can go in and see the pitches, and you can see what the velo is, so on and so forth. So you can just kind of play around with that. And if you have any trouble with it, or if you have any questions about it, just please feel free to DM me, because the StatCast and Fangraphs are the two that I use pretty extensively. So great question, Roger. All right. So last but not least is Mr. Dylan Cease, striking guys out at a 26.5% clip. He gets the Rays tonight. This is at 8:40 p.m. and we're getting pretty normal juice here on over and under. And this is across the board out of 6.5 for both. So for Cease is that he's been at a 6.5 3 times this year. He's been at a 5.5 twice. He's hit the 6.5 for 2 to 6.5. He's 2 and 3. He's had 6+ twice, but both of those were against very low strikeout teams in the Astros and the Cubs. In fact, he's actually, with the exception of the Braves, which he started the year with, he's actually faced some really, really hard teams to strike out. All the other 4 opponents, Astros, Cubs, Athletics of all teams, because they are, if you go look at K rates, especially against righties, they are one of the lowest, which is weird to say. And the Guardians, all 4 of them are in the top 10 for lowest strikeout percentage against right-handed pitchers. So the fact that he's even averaging 6 is a pretty good testament to how Mr. Cease is pitching. His outs are set at 17.5, which is what they've been pretty much the entire season. 4.5 for hits, 1.5 for walks. All of those are pretty normal. So he gets the Rays, who don't strike out a whole bunch against righties. I think they're at about a 21 or about a 19 or 20% clip. And with Cease this year, he's changed his pitch mix a little bit, and he changed up his changeup, which is like, say that 5 times fast, right? Changed up his changeup. So last year, barely threw his changeup at all, and he only threw it 28 times almost exclusively to lefties. It's the same this year, only exclusively to lefties. But the difference is, and what he's really, really gotten better at this year is that last year his changeup averaged 69.7 miles per hour. I mean, it was just a duck. Now what he does is he's added some velo to it and he's added a little bit of spin to it, and it comes in at a much sharper angle. So we talk about our clock, right? His four-seam fastball, which is his primary pitch, averages about 97 miles an hour. It's got some good movement. It's got some good spin. It's an overall, I wouldn't say dominant, but it's a solid fastball. He's a guy that's got a solid fastball, and against guys that whiff against the four-seamer, he can get Ks. That works in the 12-2 range on the clock. The slider, which is his main out pitch, which comes in at about 89 miles an hour, goes over here at the 12-9 range on the clock. The curveball is almost a 12-6 curve, almost. It's more like a 12-7 curve. So comes in here, drops like a rock, and comes in the 6-7 range. And the changeup runs in the exact same area as the four-seam fastball, but it comes in at 20 miles an hour less, and it comes in with a little bit more break than last year. That is one of the things that has generated just a ton of whiff for Cease to the tune of 46.2%, and guys are only hitting 167 off of it. So you go and you look at the Rays lineup, which as of right now is projected to be 5 lefties and 4 righties. So Cease is doing a really, really nice job of getting people to miss when they chase. So his zone contact is actually above league average. I talked about how he doesn't have a dominating fastball. He can get guys with the fastball, but it's not dominating. Now, he is generating that chase rate, which is what happens when you have a changeup and a curveball and a slider like he does. And when you chase against this man, you don't make contact. 52.1%. That is in the top 15% of all major league starters. So you look at the Rays and you see that they chase literally at league average, especially over the last 2 weeks. But they have a number of guys who don't make contact when they do. So Christopher Morel would be an easy one. Taylor Walls would be another one. And there's also a couple other guys in the lineup that don't make contact when they chase. So I would lean on the over here because of that if we get this projected lineup. So when I look at the Rays overall as a team, there's a couple guys that I would really, really want in this lineup to look at taking an over. Christopher Morel would for sure be the first one. Morel chases at a 30.6% clip and makes chase contact 30.4%. That is just absolutely abysmal. It is absolutely abysmal. Then you look at some of the other guys that are projected to be in the lineup. You have Aranda is at league average, and you have Chandler Simpson, who has only seen 84 pitches. He's one of their prospects. Has been leading off. He's a high contact guy in the minors, but Cease is a little bit of a different animal. You also have Cameron Misner, who's projected to be in 43.6% chase contact. I already talked about Taylor Walls, and there's a few others as well. So if we get Misner, Morel, and Walls, this is an over that I'm probably going to be pretty interested in, just because Cease can make guys absolutely whiff. There's the overall whiff rate to the four-seam fastball, which again, it's not like it's a overall dominating pitch for Cease, but he can generate swings and misses. Morel whiffs to a fastball 41.7% of the time. That's just absolutely abysmal. League average is about like 25. You also have Walls at 33. You have Caminero, who's above league average. So there's more than enough whiff in this lineup for Cease to get the over. But I need the lineup that I said. If I'm gonna play this one, it's gonna be over or nothing. All right. Before we go to other looks and totals, Go Get 'em says, any take on Robbie Ray getting plus money for only 6+? He's operated in the zone a ton more his last start. And the Rangers are one of the most, the Rangers are the most free swinging teams in Major League Baseball. And they're also one of the highest contact teams in Major League Baseball when it comes to making contact in the zone. So over the last 2 weeks, league average for swing rate in the zone, 67.7. Rangers are up there at 71.3. That's second highest in baseball, but they make contact in the zone at 87.8%. So I'm guessing it was dialed down a little bit from that. And Ray is a guy who needs you to chase. You have to chase against Ray if you're going to get strikeouts. So if you're not going to chase, or if because I mean his fastball is good, but it's not like it's actually not even as good as Cease's. I don't think. I think Cease is a better fastball than Robbie Ray does. So a pitcher that throws 96.5, like it's good, it's fine, and it'll get a few guys, but it's not like it's a pitch that you can use as an out pitch. And that's kind of where Robbie Ray is at. So he needs you to chase. Yep. And Roger says, would you consider Luis Castillo against the strikeout kings, the Marlins? If you're playing that one, over is the only way to look. The other thing that you have to think about too is because Logan Gilbert could not go a whole lot, could not go past even, I think, 3 innings last night, is that the Mariners used they only used two guys in relief, but they used up their long reliever, Casey Lawrence. So with the way that their outs prop, with Castillo's outs prop is set, I would guess that Castillo would pitch 6. I'd actually be a little more interested in, as of right now, before I see a lineup, is I'd be interested in Castillo's outs, because right now the over 18.5 is plus 152. The under is just absolutely ridiculously juiced at minus 205. That's not an option. I might be interested with the right lineup in taking a small flyer on the outs for him, outs over at that plus 152. But if you're going to play the strikeouts, yeah, over is the only way to play it. All right. I think that's going to do it for us today. No show tomorrow, off on Sundays, but then back Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern with more props, more plays and analysis. Oh, other looks inside. Sorry. I had some other looks for you that, my bad, that I wanted to give. So if you're looking at a money line play today, some plus money lines that I have leans on here are the Brewers, actually, against even against Sonny Gray. Quinn Priester against Sonny Gray. With the Brewers being on the road, the Brewers should be much, much higher than plus 136. And that's actually gone down to plus 133 with action on the Cardinals. So the Cardinals, the Cardinals money line right now, for I don't bet highly juiced money lines for MLB. The Cardinals money line to me is a pick me line. Even at minus 155, it screams take the other side. So especially when you got Quinn Priester against Sonny Gray and the Brewers are only getting plus 133, to me, there's value there. And then the other one would be the Braves down in Arizona at plus 105. Those are the 2 plus money lines that I'm looking at. And then from a totals perspective, I think that the under for the Padres and the Rays makes sense. You can get that at under 7 right now. Cease, I already talked about, and Pepio has some decent stuff, especially with his fastball. The Padres, with some of the injuries that they've had, their contact rate has just absolutely just fallen off the table lately. They're still making contact in the zone, but they have just really, really taken a dip, and strikeouts have gone up. So I think that you could, and their offense has been a little shaky. So I think that the under 7 can make sense. And I think the only other total, you could look at the under for Arizona and Atlanta, under 9.5. It's just a touch too high, but not something that I'm like all over, like rushing to the window on. So those are the other looks that I had. So now with that in mind, back with you on Monday. Thank you everybody for joining. If you haven't yet, please give this a like wherever you're watching. Please give it a share. Do appreciate the love so we can get the word out. And also give a subscribe if you haven't yet to the Daily Bread Network on YouTube. We would appreciate it greatly. Can give you access to all of the content that we put out. So everybody, best of luck for whatever you're tailing. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.